Mary Had a Little Lamb is a new horror film that will be premiering on digital and also select theaters on October 3rd. But what did I think about this classic nursery rhyme turned into a horror film? Well, stick around and let's discuss it. A radio host and her crew set out to discover the truth behind some disappearances for a true crime show. They will soon learn that there is far more to discover when they meet Mary and her lamb, who will make it out alive of this house of horrors. The film stars Danielle Scott, Meg Kelly, Harry Boxley, Lila Lasso, Mark Sears, Gillian Broderick, and Gaston Alexander, and was directed by Jason Arber. So when I received a screener for Mary Had a Little Lamb, my first thought was, okay, so we've done Winnie the Pooh, we're going to be doing Bambi, there's going to be a sequel to Winnie the Pooh, and now we're doing nursery rhymes starting with Mary Had a Little Lamb. How bad could it really be, right? I do have positives for this film, though. I do think that the variety of weapons in this film is actually pretty good. It's great to have different kind of weapons to use to actually kill. I think the actress Meg Kelly, I thought she did a pretty good job. She plays Carla. She is the radio host, and she's bringing all these groups of people within her show out to this forest, and they stumble upon this house, which I think the house was done pretty well. I think the surroundings of the house, like the forest and all that, it's shot pretty good. I mean, it's not amazing by any means, but it works for what they're trying to do in the setting that they're trying to create for this film. And then the film is only 78 minutes. Having said that, though, the movie is still bad, and let's start out first with the pacing of this movie. Now, to even get into any havoc or any kind of kills in this movie, the movie is only 78 minutes, like I said, remember. It takes 55 minutes before we get anything on screen, and the overall story, it's just not that interesting, to be honest. The special effects of this film are pretty bad. So there are parts in this film where there is an axe used or some type of sharp object used, and when they actually hit the thud of like the head, it definitely has some really strange kind of sounds. For instance, there's this one part where somebody gets hit with an axe. And when they get hit with the axe, it almost sounds like when you actually take a rubber ball and you bounce it on concrete. That's what it sounds like. Then there's other scenes in this film where the lamb is running after different people, and the way that he runs is absolutely so goofy. I literally was thinking while he's running after this girl, he looks like Forrest Gump. He looks so goofy running after her. The girl, when she's running from the lamb, she hides behind a tree, and they must have did some type of editing. There's a part where she's actually breathing, and she's breathing very heavily. Obviously she just ran, so that makes sense. But then there's some time that goes by, a little bit, a few seconds or so, and she's been sitting there for a while behind the tree, and they still have her breathing really heavy, but she's standing still, so the effects don't actually line up to what she's actually doing. The other thought that I had about this film, which I don't understand, is why in the heck is this a horror film, and why is majority of this film shot during the day? It takes away from any tension of the film. It's not scary in the least. I will give the film a little bit of props with the actual design of the lamb. His costume isn't bad, but it could definitely be worse, I guess I should say. But I just think overall with this film, there isn't a lot of tension. I think also Mary, her acting in this film is absolutely terrible. She definitely can't sell a scene whatsoever in this film. They have some very cringy dialogue throughout this film, and they definitely are characters where you're just like, okay, just kill these people off. They're annoying. I don't want to hear them talk anymore. And you definitely have characters like that in this film. I think overall, though, the story of this film, it definitely lacks. I think it's very hard to get into, that kind of story. You just kind of want to get to the kills, and it takes way too long to get into those kills with the fact that it is a short movie. 55 minutes into a 78-minute runtime is just way too long to actually release all the havoc. And I think also with the lamb here, him being a 30-year-old and the fact that he runs very goofy and the way that he approaches his victims. I think it's also funny because even though he's a lamb, I had no idea that lambs can growl, and he makes these growling noises every time he's going to attack these girls, and I just couldn't help but laugh at just those kinds of scenes, because it's just like, how do I take this serious? And when the heck do lambs actually growl? Do lambs even actually growl? I don't think they do. So I don't know where they really came up with that in this film, and it definitely didn't make the film feel very menacing. It just made it feel very silly and very goofy. From a writer's perspective, you can expect this film not to be very good, and overall, the entertainment value of this film, it should be a lot more entertaining, but unfortunately it's not. It has a pretty good setup. Obviously, the acting is not top notch. You're looking at a B movie here, probably more so like a C movie, but it's competently actually shot, and you feel like you have an atmosphere of a horror movie, a cliche kind of atmosphere that you see in many horror films. But overall, it's a film that just really has no memorable values of where I would want to revisit it. Kills that are just not that pleasing. That, they have like the blood and all that stuff, which is, it's not that gory, but the blood is done decently for certain scenes in the film. But overall, for me, I would give it a score of a 1.5 out of 5. Not the worst horror film I've seen this year, but overall not a film that I'm craving to go rewatch again, and not a horror classic that I will be revisiting anytime soon. But let me know in the comments, have you seen Mary Had a Little Lamb, or are you going to check it out when it comes to digital? Thank you guys for listening to this review, and I will see you guys on my next review.